Fungi facts. Some fungi facts include they are eukaryotic heterotrophs, secrete digestive enzymes, and absorb soluble products of digestion, composed of filaments called hyphae, collectively called mycelium, sexual and asexual, haploid most of the time. Diploid stages still occur, saprophytic detrivore, immotile, have cell walls, can attack living tissue, more similar to human cells than bacterial cells, mold, mildew, yeast, and mushrooms. Tricades. Tricades are a type of water-conducting cell in the xylem that lacks perforations in the cell wall. Sieve tube members. Sieve tube members are a series of sieve tube elements placed end to end to form a continuous tube. They are made from phloem with no nucleus. Anther. Anther, part of the stamen that contains pollen. Stamen is male sex organ of a flower. Root nodule. Root nodule occur on the roots of plants and associated with symbiotic nitrogen-fixing bacteria. Symbiosis. Interaction between two different organisms living in close physical association. Commensalism. Commensalism, one organism benefits and the other is unharmed. Antigen. Antigen, a foreign macromolecule that triggers an immune response. Agglutination. Agglutination, when particles such as blood cells and bacteria clump up. Chief cell. Chief cell is a cell in the lumen of the stomach that secretes pepsin. Parietal cell, a cell in the stomach that secretes acid. G cells. G cells secrete gastrin in the stomach and duodenum, stimulates parietal cells. Delta cells. Delta cells in stomach, intestine, and pancreatic islets and produce somatostatin. That's beta cells. Delta cells. What am I saying? That was delta cells. Okay. It's delta cells in the stomach, intestine, pancreatic islets, and produce somatostatin. Birth control uses these hormones: estrogen and progestin. Bones in middle ear. We got the incus, malleus, and stapes. Schwann cells. Schwann cells makes the myelin sheath. Okay. Corticotropin, ACTH. ACTH produced and secreted by the anterior pituitary gland stimulate production and release of cortisol triggered by stress. Submucosa. Submucosa. Layer of areolar connective tissue lying beneath a mucous membrane. Non-tracheophyte. Non-tracheophyte is a non-vascular thing such as mosses. Xylem. Xylem transports O2 up a stem, no nucleus when mature. Phloem, on the other hand, transports nutrients down a stem, no nucleus when mature. Stomata. Stomata pores on a leaf surface that function in gas exchange. Integral protein. An integral protein is a protein permanently in a cell membrane. Peripheral protein is a protein water-soluble and react with cell membranes can be removed with salt. Peptidoglycan, part of the cell wall in prokaryotes. Teichoic acid chain. Teichoic acid chain is recognition site for viruses to latch on and attack bacteria. Ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. Ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. This means embryonic stages of development of an organism repeat the evolutionary history of the species, not accepted today. So ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny, that's not accepted today. Plasmolysis. Plasmolysis, shrinkage of a cell due to water loss. Sucrose. Sucrose is 1 glucose and 1 fructose. Maltose is 2 glucoses. And lactose is 1 galactose and 1 glucose. All right, eons, eras, periods in order, millions of years ago. All right, here we go. The Precambrian, the Archean, was 3,800 to 2,500 years ago. Then we had the Proterozoic period, which was 2,500 to 543 years ago. Then we had the Phanerozoic period, and then we had the Paleozoic, the Cambrian, which was 543 to 490, the Ordovician, which was 490 to 443, the Silurian, which was 443 to 417, the Devonian, which is 417 to 354, and the Mississippian, which was 354 to 323, the Pennsylvanian, which was 323 to 290, the Permian, which is 290 to 248, the Mesozoic, which is the Triassic, which is 248 to 206, the Jurassic, which was 206 to 144, the Cretaceous, which was 144 to 65, and then the Cenozoic, we have the Tertiary, which is 65 to 1.8, and the Quaternary, which is 1.8 to now, or 0. Okay, what should be completely resorbed in glomerular filtrate? Glomerular filtrate should completely resorb glucose. Okay, catalase. Catalase breaks down H2O2 to H2O and O2. Contractile vacuole. The contractile vacuole, protozoans and sponges have contractile vacuoles which collect water and pump it out by rhythmic contractions. Diaphysis. Diaphysis, the shaft or central part of a long bone. The metaphysis is in between the diaphysis and epiphysis, wide portion of the bone, part of the growth plate. The periosteum. The periosteum, a denser layer of vascular connective tissue enveloping the bones, excluding joint surfaces. Pituitary gland synthesizes these. Well, the pituitary gland synthesizes thyrotropic hormone, which is TSH, which stimulates thyroid to make thyroxine. Then we have, this is again the pituitary gland. It synthesizes adrenocorticotropic hormone, which is ACTH, and it also secretes or synthesizes follicle stimulating hormone, FSH regulates puberty and reproductive processes. And then we have growth hormone, HGH, growth and cell reproduction. Invertebrate most closely related to primitive vertebrates. Echinodermata, because they're deuterosomes. The kingdom Monera separates from other kingdoms by this trait. Prokaryotic cells versus eukaryotic cells. Interleukins are interleukin 1 made by macrophages and attract helper T cells. Also act similar to interleukin 2. Interleukin 2 is made by helper T cells, activated cytotoxic cells, B cells, and more helper T cells. The cytotoxic cells are killer T cells. Longest stage of mitotic cell cycle. It's the G1 phase. The longest stage of the cell cycle, G1. Pleiotropy. Pleiotropy, when one gene influences two or more phenotypic traits. Path of production of lysosome. So the path of production of lysosome is synthesized in rough ER, packaged in smooth ER, stored in, and eventually breaks off from Golgi. Diameter of axon increases, and the speed decrease in electrical resistance along length. Protobiont. The protobiont is aggregation of organic molecules surrounded by a membrane, abiotic but metabolically active. Paramecium. The paramecium is single-celled freshwater animal, slipper-like shape, covered in cilia. Protozoan. Protozoan. A protozoan is a protista eukaryote, mostly unicellular, microscopic animals. Helper T cells. Helper T cells mobilize humoral and cell-mediated immune responses. Perforin. Perforin, protein used by killer T cells, which are made in the thymus gland to lyse cells with antigens on their surface. Function of insulin. Insulin's function is it promotes entry of glucose and amino acids into muscle and fat cells, lowers blood sugar levels, binds to receptors on plasma membranes of target cells. Actin. Actin is a globular protein that forms microfilaments, thin. Myosin, I guess that's thick, isn't it? Is a molecular motor that uses ATP to cause movement, and it is thick. Clathrin. Clathrin, lattice-forming proteins that aid in endocytosis. Spectrin. Spectrin strengthens the plasma membrane and cytoskeleton, allow erythrocytes to handle shearing forces. Phrenic nerves. Phrenic nerves, nerves that cause the diaphragm to contract. Capillaries are the answer. Where is blood flow slowest? It's in the capillaries. Histamine dilates blood vessels and contracts smooth muscle. Punctuated equilibrium. Punctuated equilibrium